بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Ādāb al-Salāt by the late Imam Khomeini. As you remember, we talked about two important things that we need to remove so that we can have presence of heart and concentration in Salat and other acts of worship. One was the power of imagination or faculty of imagination and the thoughts which bring. We discussed about this actually in 2 sessions, alhamdulillah. Then the second was hubb dunya, excessive love for dunya. We discussed it last week. There is an appendix, very brief, which will be the last part of this section, and then inshallah we go to the next section today, bi'iznillah. I hope you have chance to study after class, to do discussion, mubahatha, and reflect, because these things need review and practice so that inshallah it will be changing our way of doing salat.
Sheikh, I had a question.
Yes.
Was the video for the controlling of imagination, the khayal, that uploaded this on YouTube?
Yeah, it is uploaded. You didn't receive
The second one.
Okay, so I will share inshallah, because I haven't made it public, but I have it inshallah. I will share with you inshallah. If you remind me at the end of this session, inshallah I will put it here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Imam Khomeini says, after the wayfarer manages to control the bird of khayal, imagination and restoration of the images which are there, and then after making sure that the wayfarer manages to bring all relations and all the belongings in worldly life under, again, control, and making everything under love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then can start his journey and can free himself or herself from this prison. We are not supposed to be in this prison of dunya. We belong to malakut. For our nafs is like a bird which wants to fly in air. Dunya is like a cage. We are here. We need to learn how to free ourselves from this cage. Even when you are still alive, you can be free. He then says this needs determination. Determination is very, very important topic. We have discussed this in Islamic belief system when we talk about one of the characteristics of the Prophet is that they have determination. We talk about this in akhlaq. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam says that the best provision of wayfarer is determination. Azmu iradatan yakhtaruka bih. Determination by which he chooses God over everything else. Imam Khomeini then quotes something from his teacher. He had different teachers, but maybe among his teachers, we can say with evidence that the one that he was more impressed and he keeps referring to in his books on akhlaq, was the late Ayatollah, you can even say Ayatollah al-Uzma, the late Ayatollah Mirza Muhammad Ali Shah Abadi. I don't know if you have heard his name, Ayatollah Shah Abadi. In 40 Hadith, when we studied 40 Hadith, we had many references to him. Imam Khomeini so much loved him that whatever he was teaching when he was in Qom, he used to attend. Even they say he was the first person to attend the class and the last person to leave the class. Any subject he was teaching, Imam Khomeini was attending. And he has very special ways of respecting him when he refers to him. Sometimes he says, may I be his ransom, when he was alive. Ruhi lahul fida. Very, and Imam Khomeini was not a person who was exaggerating or showing off, etc. No, he was very careful. Anyway, this man has great impact on Imam Khomeini, and Imam Khomeini believed in his knowledge and in his piety. He quotes here something, and then he says, even the way he describes, for example, here says Sheikh Buzurgvar Shah Abadi Ruhi Fida, may I be his ransom, because when he wrote, his teacher was alive. Sometimes he says Arif Kamil, perfect mystic, the one who has reached the end. So he has a special love for Ayatollah Shah Abadi Rizwanullah Ta'ala. The point that he quotes from Ayatollah Shah Abadi, which is very beautiful, is that determination is the core of humanity. Maghz. Maghz in Farsi sometimes means brain. This is the main meaning of maghz. For example, for brain of a human being or birds, animals, we say maghz. But maghz also is used for things which are not physical. For example, sometimes gives a lecture, we say, this was maghz matlab, means the cord. Okay, sometimes we say lob also. Lob also means brain. So, maghz insaniyat, the very core of being a human being is determination. Very deep idea. To explain it a little bit, what makes us different from animals is will. We have free will. We have aql to help us how to use our free will, how to exercise our free will. Okay? If I am a weak person, others decide for me, or even maybe not others, but my lower desires push me to things. I make decisions, then I cannot keep my decisions. I say, okay, I want to eat, for example, less for my health or spirituality. Or I want to, for example, exercise more. I want to study more. I want to visit my parents. I want to do Salat Rahim. I want to do Salat on time. I know all these things are things that I need. I make even decision, but I cannot keep what I have promised to myself or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My plans keep changing. Other things, come and I easily give in. What's the problem here? Why I cannot commit myself to a task and complete it? Because I don't have a strong willpower. I don't have determination. So if humanity is a matter of rationally exercising your free will, then those who have willpower and exercise their free will based on intellect, they are advanced in humanity. if we don't have willpower, we are going closer to the level of those who lack free will, like animals. They don't have that much of free will that we have to choose between good and bad. So people with a stronger willpower, people with determination, they have let their humanity flourish. And we can flourish in our humanity so much so that with determination, finally reach the point that Allah gives you power. That whatever you want, not only you do it yourself, it will happen, even if it is not only related to you. You remember we had this hadith in some lectures, and I have mentioned this in self-knowledge, that Allah in Hadith Qudsi says, Abdi ata'ni aj'alka mathali. My servant, obey me, I will make you my example, similar to me. Not similar in the sense that you become like me, it means my example. Mathal, not misl. One of the things then it says in the Hadith Qudsi is this: whenever I want something, I say kun fayakun, then there will be. I will make you also able to say kun fayakun. In heaven, all inhabitants of heaven are like this. Whatever they want, it will be there for them. Fiha ma tashtahihi al-anfus. Just we listened also to the ayah. Or mashtahat anfusuhum. But in dunya also, you can reach the point that whatever you want, it will happen. Unless there is a greater maslaha. Of course, you don't want something which is not fitting into the wise plan of Allah to happen. But if it matches the plan of Allah and you want, it happens. Like those who are mustajabu da'wah, means those whose du'as were answered. So he says, after quoting from his teacher, he says, one of the reasons that so much emphasis is put on taqwa and avoiding these lower desires of nafs and doing riyazat shar'iyyah, those kinds of spiritual exercises and disciplining that are permissible, not wrong ones that some people do that harm their body, etc. But those things, riyazat, which are shara'i, which are legitimate, which are accepted, and manasik, the rituals that we have, one of the main reasons for all these acts of ibadah and refraining from lower desires, etc., is what? Is to strengthen your determination and make your physical faculties on their malakuti side of your spirit or soul. انقهار قوای ملکیه در تحت ملکوت نفس. Because we have mulk and malakut. Of course, we have also jabarut and lahut. We don't want to talk about those now. But the lowest level of creation and existence is mulk, the physical world. Then it's malakut, kingdom of Allah, when there are spirit and soul. Our soul belongs to malakut. Our body belongs to mulk. Our body resembles soil and water and food, etc. Our soul resembles angels. So we need to make sure that our bodily faculties function under our malakuti soul, not vice versa. And this happens with determination. And then he says, we finish this part with praising Allah and glorifying Him, and then sending salutations to the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and asking them to help us in this spiritual journey and this mi'raj, because Salat is mi'raj, is ascension. This part finished. This was all of it like one maqale, one essay with different chapters. Now we start the second maqale, second essay, about some of the things that we need to do in order to have our spiritual salat and their manners, spiritual manners. The first thing that we have to discuss is about taharat. In the first section, first session, I talked about organization of the book, structure of the book. If you don't remember, refer to the table of contents of the book or refer to that first lecture. So we said that the very first thing that we need to discuss is tahara, cleanliness, purity. The first chapter of this first section of the second article or essay is about a brief explanation of tahur. Salat, as we said before, has two dimensions, two faces, two aspects. One is real, a spiritual side, esoteric side. One is zahiri, the apparent, the external side. Zahiri is the one that we learn in fiqh. Yeah? The body of salat, or the cast, the qalab of salat. If someone has no presence of heart, it still can bring qalab, and if it fulfills the requirements of sharia, salat is valid, sahih, but not maqbool, not accepted. Yeah, at least it's valid, so doesn't need to repeat, will not be, blamed why he didn't say salat. So the obligation is now fulfilled, but zahir of salat doesn't have that power of transforming us and taking us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stopping from doing bad things. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. So we have zahir and like you see body of a human being. For example, someone is dead, but you think it's asleep, he's sleeping, because body is, perfect. You don't see any problem in the body. But because it doesn't have a spirit, it's just surface. There's no life. There's no understanding of, what is happening around. Of course, in the physical sense or in the sense that we can understand. Whatever the soul is doing, we are not connected to the soul. We don't know. We are seeing just the body, and the body looks like someone who is sleeping. When we look at two people, one is saying salat with presence of heart, one without. Sometimes we don't understand. They look the same. Sometimes maybe even the one who doesn't have presence of heart maybe says salat, more beautifully, with beautiful, recitation, etc. You don't know. So you cannot always understand. Yes, sometimes we understand because we feel this person is connected and we feel there is, presence of heart. But many times you may not understand. So we have zahir and batin. For zahir of salat, you know that our body must be clean, our dress must be clean, the place that we do sajda on should be clean. We should also have wuzu, and if someone needs ghusl, should do ghusl. So they are all about cleanliness of zahir. But then we have cleanliness of batin. And here we are talking about taharat batini. What is taharat batini? What is that spiritual cleanliness? Very first thing Imam Khomeini says is to remove impurities and dirts which are caused by sins. Every human being is born with purity, innocence. كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. No child, whether parents are believers or not believers, is born with impurity. Of course, what parents do has impact on the soul of the child and the preparation of the child for doing good things or bad. They can give birth to a child that is very much inclined later towards good things or towards bad things. But free will is there, and also at the beginning, everyone is born with fitrah. So if someone has bad parents but is brought up in a good environment and he or she himself wants to be a good person, maybe he can be a very good person. So we are not born with these impurities, but we may suffer later. In any case, what is important is to make sure first that we don't commit any sins, because they make our nafs impure. With sinning, you cannot get anywhere, even if you do lots of ibadah. No, you have to stop sinning. And many times you may not know what is sin. You have to learn. Sometimes people do business and they don't know what type of business is prohibited, what is permissible. They think everything is permissible. So, this is number one. Now, if someone has been sinning, na'udhu billah, if we have sins, what should we do? Tawbah. We need sincere tawbah, tawbah nasuh, so that with the water of tears and tawbah we can wash our inner self. So, this is the first step. If with the help of Allah and with appealing to the holy servants of Allah, we manage to stop sinning and do tawbah and wash the dirt caused by previous sins, we go to the second step of tahara, spiritual tahara. And that is when you work on your traits of character to develop virtues and remove vices. Khulq is very important. Our traits of character are very important. Maybe someone is not committing sins, alhamdulillah, but has very bad temper, annoys people, or is greedy and does bad things, is selfish, is dishonest, ungrateful, etc. These are also very bad, and indeed Imam Khomeini says, we had this in 40 hadith, those of you who studied 40 hadith, you remember in the beginning of 40 hadith, we had this discussion. And he says also here, the pain and suffering of those who would be punished. Someone has not done tawbah, and Allah's mercy also has not been able even to help. Because many times, even if you have not done proper tawbah, still Allah may forgive apart from shirk. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَنْ يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. So He may forgive things other than shirk or lower than shirk, even without tawbah. He's so merciful. But suppose someone in the end is not forgiven because of not being suitable for receiving mercy and has not repented. Hope this punishment for sins is less painful, less severe than punishment for bad traits of character. If someone has bad temper and keeps annoying people, especially those who are around, this is not one action. This is one trait of character that leads to millions of actions. So, Ahl Ma'rifat, people who have deep insight about spiritual things, they say the pain of suffering caused by committing sins or not doing wajibat is less than the pain which is caused by having vicious traits of character. Their Jahannam is different. The Jahannam of those who have bad character is worse. If someone has bad actions and bad character, then that's really terrible. So, for the first step, we need to stop sinning. For the second step, with ilm nafi', beneficial knowledge, and irtiyaz shar'i, religious legitimate exercises, we should remove all the vicious traits of character. But pay attention to this important point, that the roots of this problem is, the roots are lying in what? Hubbud dunya and hubbun nafs. Excessive love for yourself, self-admiration, and excessive love for dunya. This causes those problems. Why someone is greedy, why someone is jealous, why someone is cheating and dishonest? Because there is hubbud dunya and hubbun nafs. So we need to work on our traits of character. In the book Self-Development, we have an essay about breakdown of Islamic spirituality. I have explained also some of these points there. So, first, we should not commit any sin and do tawbah and wash impurities caused by previous sins. Second, we should work on our traits of character and stop all the bad traits of character and develop good traits of character. But then, the third, which is more fundamental, is to work on purity of the heart and make your heart free from hubbud dunya and hubbun nafs. Because if this is there, if our heart still suffers from hubbud dunya and hubbun nafs, then keeps bringing us into sins and bad traits of character. The root should be removed, the root of the problems. And then he says one of the things which is very bad, and even with water of 7 seas you cannot wash it, is to suffer from compound ignorance. Jahl murakkab means not to know and not to know that you don't know. What he means here is, he says one of the worst things is that you don't understand irfan and spiritual world, and then you deny and question people who are our spiritual masters and mentors, and you say these are not possible, these are not, real. So he says don't deny. If you don't understand, okay, leave it. Don't make any judgment about it. So he says, Pas bar insan lazim ast. This is the conclusion at the end of first chapter about tahara. Bar insan lazim ast که با تفکر در حال انبیا و اولیاء کمال صلوات الله علیهم و تذکر مقامات آنها این قذارت را از باطن قلب شستشو دهد. So it is upon human beings to use contemplation, to think about condition of the prophets and servants, perfect servants of Allah, the saints, and remember their positions, their ranks, so that your nerves get rid of this kind of problem. And don't deny higher levels. و در حدی که است, in whatever level you are, even if you are a very good level, shouldn't be satisfied with that. Being satisfied with what you know, or what you do, or what you have developed as virtues. If you are satisfied, he says, This is one of the main deceptions of Iblis and Nafs Ammare, to say you don't need to progress any further. You should not be satisfied. You should keep trying to go higher and higher. If you are high, who knows? Sometimes maybe we think we are high, but we are not high. But even if you are high, you should not be satisfied. Inshallah, in the next session, we will talk about second chapter, which refers to different levels of cleanliness, spiritual cleanliness. Inshallah, we'll talk about it in the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Is there any question?
I have one question.
Please.
So, Sheikh, is there like any way, like, you know, when you're achieving this this level of purification, and do you ever like get the intent? Do you ever achieve this fully or master it?
Yeah, but the thing is that this journey has no end. So even if you go very high, you will see, you know, like you go higher on the mount, and then you would see there is more to climb, because sometimes there is a hill, after that hill is another hill. Someone who is down cannot see that there are higher hills. So the more you rise, the more you see opportunities are there, more potentials are there. So you should never think that you will reach end of it, but you will reach very good level, so that you feel that you are making progress, you feel joy, you feel get pleasure, but you will not be satisfied. You don't say it, because anything positive, you should always try to want more. Like knowledge, you enjoy, but you become more thirsty. Those who are closer to Allah, they enjoy, but they more than us want to go closer to Him. They wouldn't say, okay, this is enough for us. I put also here for you the link for the second part of controlling khayal. I put also now,
Thank you.
you're welcome, the link for last week.
I have a question. When you were saying how determination is so important, what practical, like, do you have any suggestions for practical exercises to increasing our determination?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, many things in Islam are to increase our determination. For example, the fact that you should always monitor yourself not to commit any sin. This strengthens your willpower. Or fasting in the month of Ramadan. It's a great exercise. For 1 month you can resist against temptations, even halal temptations. Throughout the year you think, cannot cope with not eating for 10 hours or drinking. But in the month of Ramadan, you see, no, you have ability even to, hungry or thirsty for maybe 16 hours, 18 hours. It gives you such determination. Plus, contemplation. If you keep thinking about the sacredness of your goal, a student who keeps thinking about what he wants to achieve, then can resist against temptations, or having a comfortable and lazy life. He says, I want to get to this kind of job, I need to study now. I want to, for example, help people, I need to. Anyway, whatever is the reason for a study, if you reflect on that, it gives you more determination. Reading about the lives of people who are determined gives you determination. And also in Islam, we have a technique of musharata. You make a condition for yourself. For example, something that you want to do and you don't do it normally, you say, okay, if I do this, there is such punishment. You fix a punishment for yourself. If it's a bad thing. If it's a good thing that you do it, you should do it, you put reward for yourself. For example, maybe you like some type of food very much, or you like to go to the park next to your home, for example, and walk. You say, okay, if I miss my Salat awwalul waqt, I don't eat that food for a few days, for example. You can increase. First you say one day, sometimes you can then increase. Or I will give this much money sadaqah. Or instead of going by car today, I will go walking, for example, depending on the conditions. So you make a kind of condition to yourself that if you act wisely, rightly, you get reward. Otherwise, you will be punishing yourself. Not by hurting yourself, of course, but making something different. For example, I'm going to help my mother, if you are living with your mother, this day more than before. Or my husband or wife, I'm going to help more than before. Something that is difficult for you, your nafs will calculate. It finds that doing that thing is more difficult, so we'll stop it. Said, okay, let me do Salat awwalul waqt, because otherwise I have to do 1 hour, for example, extra task. This is also very important. And there are also some cases, I don't recommend to use this too much, but also you can do nazr. If you do nazr, then it becomes wajib. And because you don't want to disobey wajib, then you do it. For example, I want to do Salatul Layl, and I see nothing is helping me to wake up. Then if you make nazr with religious formula, it becomes wajib. It's like Salatul Fajr. No one will miss Salatul Fajr. Many people miss Salatul Layl, but not Salatul Fajr. Why? Because Salatul Fajr is wajib. But it's better not to use this too often, because there is a danger that sometimes then you may actually miss and then you commit haram. But if needed, you can do this by making nazr. So I mentioned few points that inshallah this can help to increase your willpower.
So just to follow up with that, is it necessary to take it a step further then? So, we fast during Ramadan, but that's just 1 month of the year. Should we be implementing more frequent fasts in the year to help us? Or
Yeah, actually, very good question.
So when do we take it further? I don't know what we should be doing.
Yeah, month of Ramadan is great, but it's not enough. So if you see you need to increase your willpower, then you can fast at least 3 days every month, or have a control of your diet, for example. For example, say, okay, 1 day in the week, I don't drink coffee or tea, I don't know. Something that you like, you don't do it. Or for example, you are enjoying your food, but then after you had enough, stop. Because I had enough. From this point on, it's just to enjoy myself. I don't want to eat food, just to enjoy myself. So things like this, when you stop against your temptations, you gain more and more power over your nafs. If you listen to nafs, you become weaker and weaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. التماس دعاء في أمان الله.